Good morning, my friends. Welcome to episode 4. Recording it today. I'm going to hold the fasting episode in the tank. Going to do a little more, just a little extra research. Adds a little more value to that podcast. But today, last week we talked building muscle and improving health. Today we're going to be talking losing body fat and keeping it off. And so one of the main keys to this is what you're going to see a lot in the industry is a calorie deficit. And I do say calories do matter, but also food quality matters as well. So it's not just calories in, calories out for a lot of people. A lot of it is the food quality. So in order to lose weight and body fat, you have to be in a calorie deficit, as in you have to take in less calories than you are physically burning. That isn't to say from exercise. A lot of people get it mixed up. They must eat less than they expend in the weight room or in their cardio sessions throughout the week and such like that. But our bodies have these mechanisms that they use calories for healing and living and breathing and all the internal organ processes all day that we go. And so a lot of our calorie burn comes from our daily activity. So just from daily living and from getting around from place to place, especially if you're a more active person, your calorie burn is going to be a lot higher. Say you're a soccer player. Like I have a client who's 17 years old. He is a young guy. He's very active and he wanted to put on weight. And we had to make sure that he wasn't eating too little while also lifting and working out and going to school and playing soccer and doing cardio sessions and going on runs for fun. It was hard for him to maintain his weight or gain weight because he was constantly in a calorie deficit. And when we want to build muscle, we want to be in a calorie surplus. And so today we're talking losing body fat and how to keep it off. And so the main way, first and foremost, we need to be in a calorie deficit. So a good thing to do is to get in the habit of tracking your food at first so that you can eventually get away from tracking, but so that we have a general idea of tracking it first. And, you kind of want to figure out your roundabout maintenance calories for your personal body weight and size. And we want to at first try to eat at that maintenance so that we can have the body in balance. We want to really restore that balance in the beginning and eat at maintenance for a few weeks or a month sometimes just to get our body back to a natural balance of things while like doing some strength training and eating quality foods. And then you come in with this increasingly more of a calorie deficit. We make sure you're having enough protein, make sure you're training well, and then if you're in a calorie deficit, more than likely you'll lose body fat. And what you don't want also is to be in a calorie deficit and not be sending that signal to lean body mass, aka muscle, to be maintained. So if you're going on a fat loss regimen and you're doing a straight running protocol every single day and you're in a calorie deficit but you're not doing any type of lifting stimulus, even push-ups, even body weight stuff to stimulate that muscle for it to stay, then you will lose weight, but the weight will come from muscle, maybe some fat, and overall will be contributed from everywhere, as opposed to if you go into a calorie deficit but you are resistance training and stimulating those muscles, your body will use the protein and the calories you have to go to that muscle because it's being told that it is important because it's getting that stimulus, and so your body will go to burn more body fat over the muscle. So losing body fat and retaining or building muscle mass is a really good goal and indicator that you are losing the right amount, the weight in the right places. And so that's a little overview of the calorie deficit. And one of the main reasons that I say, food quality really matters. So I think it's calories in, calories out, plus food quality matters. And I go by 80-20 rule. If I'm getting, and I have a client, if they're getting 80% of their food intake, and we work up to that, we work from 50-50 to 60-40 to 70-30 and up to 80-20, you're getting 80% of your intake from whole foods and quality foods, healthy fats, colorful vegetables, greens, green leafy vegetables, quality meats, grass-fed beef, free-range eggs, things like that, then you will have the optimal hormonal profile and hormonal response to most of these foods that we want. A lot of the times the foods that we eat are not filling us up or making us feel satiated or feeling full, and a lot of that has to do with the empty calories that are in processed foods and sugary foods and boxed foods and processed foods, things that you typically find in the middle of the grocery store. These things a lot of times have been scientifically studied by the boards of the people who put it out, how can we make people want our food more, and how can we make people want to eat our food more so that we can have more sales and have more success as a business. So a lot of these foods are going to have things, a lot of different forms of added sugar. They're going to be a lot of easily broken down foods by the body, so that when you eat them, you can eat more of them, and then you don't get as much nutritional value as well. And so if we eat over 50 to 60 to 70% of our food intake from processed foods, we're going to feel ourselves feeling hungrier and feeling tired and feeling that we need more calories. And it's because our bodies want nutrition. They need micronutrients, they need protein, they need quality carbs, healthy fats, and they need micronutrients, vitamins, minerals, all the things that make our body go round that we need on a daily basis that are natural for us. When we eat a lot of processed foods and things from boxes, we are lacking a lot of these nutritional value. And when that happens, our bodies go into these modes of trying to tell us that we need to eat things of nutritional value. It comes in the form of hunger and cravings. And then we go, and if we're not disciplined, we're not making the right choices, we're not trying to eat most of our food intake from meat and veggies, quality meats and good veggies, then we're going to find ourselves seeking out more food, and then we're going to go tip the scales and not be in a calorie deficit and go over, and that's how we will gain body fat. Or if the goal is to lose body fat, we think we're in a calorie deficit, but we're eating a lot of these processed foods that are high in calories and low in nutrients, we tend to overeat on a regular basis, and studies show this as well. And so I want to add the calories in, calories out model with the food quality matters model, to have the optimal effects and to actually get the fat loss that you want and to make it sustainable. So that's the key there, to track your food at first, figure out where you're at with calories, try to eat less than you are expending, and you also have to kind of take it day by day and monitor how you're feeling, because everyone's different. Some people's metabolisms are faster naturally with genetics and their lifestyle, so they'll burn more calories than this person, even though the calculation says that it's this amount. You really have to kind of take the bio individual into account and do an individual plan to yourself or to your clients if you're a coach, to figure out what they're taking to, what they're not taking to, and things like that, so that you can really diagnose individually. And so moving on from that, I call these the nutritional fundamentals. So if you're watching your food, you're having a calorie deficit, you're watching your food quality, and you're aiming to get 80%, 70 to 80% upwards of most of your foods from quality foods, then we have that 20% to where we want to enjoy the foods we like. I love a stack of gluten-free blueberry pancakes with some pure maple syrup as like a carb load for me. That kind of falls sometimes in my 20%, and we have a pizza night once a week, and that's one of my cheat meals once a week, and typically I'll use that as my 20%. So you have 20% where you want to plan your week out to where you're putting those time into enjoyment times and foods you like, food with your significant other, or when you're going out to dinner with friends and things of the such. And so moving on to the nutrition fundamentals, if you focus on these and keep these fundamentals, this will help you kind of get to that goal of 80% whole food intake and 20% other. And the nutrition fundamentals are the emphasize whole foods and nutrient density, which means, like we're saying, you're 80%, you're emphasizing whole foods and nutrient dense foods. Foods that are going to give you the most bang for your buck, which are obviously quality meats, quality protein, healthy fats, green leafy vegetables, colorful vegetables, and fruits. Then number two is like we say, to get enough quality protein. Protein has the building blocks to our muscles and our bodies and our neurotransmitters that help us fire and wire and think properly. So if we're lower on protein, especially if you're going into a fat loss phase or a fat loss diet, if the protein's low, then the protein will already be kind of pushed into other areas if it's needed. If the calories are super, super low, like we're even low protein, low carb, and even low fat, which you definitely don't want, the protein will be converted to different things and used for different things instead of going to maintain your muscle and going into energetic processes and things like that. So we got to make sure that we're getting enough quality protein to operate the system, because when you have enough to operate the system and you have enough calories coming in, that's another key to muscle building if we're going that route. But for fat loss, we want to get enough and higher protein so that we can make sure that that protein is going to preserve muscle and that we have enough of it left over to do the recovery processes and to heal and to maintain the muscle that we want to keep, which is pivotal during a fat loss phase, because the muscle that you keep, build, or stays will help you burn more calories, and the body fat will drain off, allowing you to lose your body fat but still gain health and the ability to burn more calories at rest, which is going to put you in a better place. You're going to be able to eat more in the long run and help you maintain that muscle and keep the body fat off in the long run. And along with that, I say get enough quality protein and fiber, which is incorporated into the eating the whole foods, eating the vegetables, and it's incorporated with number 3, which is to include a lot of vegetables in your diet. So it's really good. I say for people, the micro goal to start off with is to add a meat and vegetables meal once a week or once a day. So one meat and vegetables quality meal once a day starting off with, but we do want to get it up to over months and years that as a habit to build to get eating 2 to 3 servings of those of veggies and different color veggies a day, especially the green leafy veggies. That will really improve your health, really improve your micronutrient profile. It'll give you fiber, which will improve your gut health, because fiber passes through the digestive system, it gets to the bottom, and your healthy bacteria eat that fiber and release chemicals that are good for your health. And that when your gut health is good, then typically people actually drop body fat easily, and their microbiome absorbs nutrients and they feel better. And when the gut's really on, the body's on, and your goals are more achievable, especially in the realm of fat loss and muscle building. And so the next one is to eat slowly until satisfied. Especially if you're somewhere where you haven't already if you're not tracking or meal prepping and you haven't portioned out your meals and things like that, then you need to be careful when you go out and you have larger portions or extra portions, things like that. What we want to do is we want to eat slowly until satisfied. We want to eat our food and enjoy our food. We don't want to have a TV on or have a whole nother thing going on in us, because the studies show that just literally distracts our brain and allows us to eat extra calories, on average of 300 to 500 more calories when people are distracted while they're eating. And so it's really important to enjoy the food that you make, especially if you've cooked it for yourself or it's something you like. Enjoy and savor every bite and take it in. And then once you get to where you're feeling, you notice that you're feeling full and satisfied and you've eaten 70% of your meal, maybe you can wrap it up and eat it another time, or just call it a day on that, and you won't have that extra distress of your gut taking in extra food that is just a little more than you needed. And so that'll help with portion size, but it also helps with satiety and you being in tune with your body and being the master of your fate there with food, and really knowing what satisfies you and what fills you up. And another small key too I like to say is, if you have a plate of everything and you have some carbs, some protein, eat your protein and like half your veggies first before we start getting to the bread and getting to the carbs, and having that fill us up, where we don't want the quality stuff too. We may have a plate of food that this is a great meal, and then at the end of it we've eaten half our protein, 1 bite of our vegetables, and all our bread. It's not the exact profile we want. And the last tip for the nutrition fundamentals is to lower processed foods, like we've been talking about the whole time, the 80-20 rule. You really want to not be eating most of your food from a box or from something that's been sitting on a shelf or manufactured in a factory and sat there for a while and then shipped in a car to you and then came to you and packaged with a heart healthy stamp on it, so we think it's good for us. And it's really just been processed in a plant by a few people and contaminated and just sitting in a warehouse somewhere until it gets to your shelf and marketed as fresh or healthy. And one of the main keys with the processed foods are that you want to lower added sugar. So look for added sugar in your products, like yogurt and protein bars, all this stuff where there's just extra sugar. You don't need it, especially when it's added sugar. Look for the added. Lower your consumption of fried foods is a good way to lower your processed food consumption. And then, like I say, lower your processed foods or some things that come from a box. So we want to lower those things, and we'll see our health improve, because they are, a lot of the times when you see foods that are like this, fried foods, added foods with a lot of added sugar, they're devoid of a lot of nutrients. They're going to make you feel hungrier. It's just not very efficient use of your time or your fueling for your body. And so moving on from the nutrition fundamentals, a big part of losing body fat and keeping it off is I say it's 90% food and psychology, and like 10% exercise and movement. Exercise comes with a host of benefits for our bodies and brains, and building muscle and having goal specific things and acquiring skills and getting better at things. And it's good to adopt a strength training regimen, like to lift weights and to use increasing strength as a metric to see improvement, while also seeing how that will, and it does, improve your body composition, as in helping you drop fat and maintain or build that muscle. And so the exercise and movement is very important. But if you're just doing the exercise and movement part, and we don't have the food psychology and the nutrition fundamentals in place, you're not going to see the results that you really are looking for. And you may stall a lot because you're focusing on burning all the calories off instead of fixing the machine that you have and having it work efficiently on quality foods and produce what you want a lot faster. And so what we move on to is the food and behavior psychology, because it really goes into being in control of yourself and making the right choices when it comes to food a little bit more at a time. I'm not going to tell you to just, all right, get your food and behavior psychology right, and let's start making better decisions on food. It's a little bit at a time. We say micro goals. So one of the ways to develop habits and develop self-discipline with our food and behavior psychology is with the 4 keys of mental toughness that I talk about. And number 1 is breath control, number 2 is visualization, number 3 is positivity, and number 4 is micro goals. So if you're controlling your thoughts, your breaths, and your emotions, then we can look at things truthfully and in a real manner. And if you're visualizing what you want and you see, all right, so this is what I want. I want to drop body fat. I want to look good. I want to perform better when I play with my kids, and then I want to look better for my significant other, for our sex life, for our marriage, for our whatever it may be. And you want to visualize those things and have those things come to you, so you know why you're pursuing your goals, and let those feel you, because your body will look to be like, all right, this is what we want. This looks good, and I want to pursue this. Let me look for reasons and ways I can pursue this. And that merges with the third one, which is positivity. You want to see your visualizations and see the things you want in your life and your goals with a positive attitude. We want to see the ways that we can get them, not the ways that we can't get them. We want to tell our body and our brain to go toward and see the ways that we can achieve that, as opposed to the latter. And neutral thinking is better than negative thinking. We want no thinking, or we want positive thinking. Those things will help you get closer to your goals. And the fourth one, like I said, micro goals. Breaking everything up into micro goals that over time can build to the macro major goal. So if your major goal is to lose 20 pounds of body fat by this date, we're going to look to incorporate these nutrition fundamentals. That'll be micro goals. Get a meal of meat and veggies one day. Go for a walk. Eat once a week. Lift here 3 times a week. We'll be in a calorie deficit. And so these micro goals, we want to lose this many pounds each week or every 2 weeks, or we want to see this waistline move in, or we want to see some more muscular definition, and we want to see good progress with our progress pictures. So you want to look at those things and really lock in those micro goals, those micro wins, as you get to the big win. And so when you control yourself, control your breath, visualize what you want, see it with a good positive attitude, and then you start breaking and seeing the mini goals that get you to there. You want to start locking in and accomplishing those micro goals, small, simple steps. You want to just knock those things out. And so using the 4 keys of mental toughness, we can really help to develop and lock in self-discipline habits, and we can start to change our food and behavior psychology and our behavior and choices toward food. And so, and a lot of here, so some more tips or points of eating like this, eating like with the nutritional fundamentals in place. Studies are showing that you can eat more calories from greens, veggies, and quality meats. So we don't want to think about it as taking away things from the diet. We want to look at it as adding things to. So when we focus on adding food quality and adding whole foods, nutrient density, quality protein, fibrous veggies and vegetables, and making sure we're getting quality protein and fiber. We're eating slowly until satisfied. We're lowering those processed food consumptions. When you'll find that you can eat over your maintenance a lot of times and still lose body fat if you're eating most of your calories from greens, veggies, and quality meats, especially if you're in the beginning of your phase. If you've been dieting for years and jumping between diet to diet and doing some things, you may need to lock it in and more from there. But a lot of people, especially if they haven't done any of these things, they've only just done the exercise route to lose weight. When they really lock these fundamentals in, they'll find that they're able to eat more of these, good quality meats and veggies and greens and healthy fats and cooked meals and feel great and not feel sluggish and like they've overeaten, like if they were to overeat some processed foods, and they would feel satisfied and see that they were actually to take in more quality food and then feel better and perform better. And with the quality meats, I personally, I'm in my life, I vow to mostly eat. I recommend grass-fed beef and grass-fed animals, free-range eggs and free-range animals, pasture-raised bacon and pork, and wild-caught and sustainably caught fish, because I think that the quality of the food matters, and food that is obtained in the natural ways like this is going to be way more nutritious and way better on your body and your system. And also, I think that I vowed to eat more humanely and well-treated animals because I care about the food that I eat, and I want I try to eat more grass-fed beef and free-range and wild-caught because those animals were allowed to grow and eat in their natural way, less not stressed and not worried, and their meat and their nutrition is of more value than of the conventional way, and they are treated well, which I work for the benefit of all beings here, and I want them to be treated well. And I do believe that these animals and forms are here for our nourishment. There's a reason that they react well with our bodies and make us the healthiest. When we eat veggies and clean, healthy meats and well-treated meats, our bodies thrive, and the studies show that. And I feel that that's the universe, the spirit telling us that these animals are for us, but they need to be well treated and cared for and loved and serve a purpose, but also treated with love and compassion and care. And that's my purpose and reason for eating these foods. They're also way more sustainable for the environment, and they actually give back to the environment and to the soil and to the earth. So I really press to get more of those quality foods in. And one of the last tips, or one of the last points to hit, is to adapt possibly a fasting protocol. I'm working on a fasting episode, just doing some more research. But even a 12-hour fasting window, as in if you stop your eating at 8 p.m. at night and you go till 8 a.m. the next morning, even that is just a 12-hour window. You fast for 12 hours, 8 to 9 of that is sleeping. 3 hours is actually, drinking tea, drinking a coffee, and not breaking your fast. And then the other 12 hours of the day, you're eating whatever. And I do recommend eating, a meal to break the fast, 3 or 4 hours later, another meal, 2 to 3, 4 hours later, another meal, and then a dinner to end your eating window. That's a good dose of and you base it around protein each meal. So it's a good dose of protein with vegetables and whatever other foods based around it. Spaced out every hour, that allows your body to get a pulse of protein and a pulse of nutrients every bit. And also, when you don't snack in between those meals, it allows your gut to have these processes that come out and clean and set the system up for the next meal. So if we're constantly eating and snacking all day, these processes in our body never get to come out and clean. And so over months and years, our microbiome gets mucked up because we're just constantly eating all the time. The only time you'll have it clean up is when you're sleeping. So when you adopt a fasting protocol, it helps you to reset your cravings and your hormones, and it helps you just to increase your self-discipline and your gut health. And so, like we've talked about gut health, when we're eating nourishing foods, we will increase our gut health, and when we're fasting, we'll increase our self-discipline and help to reset those cravings and hormones. But another tip I'll say is don't go into a fasting day or a fasting protocol coming off of not eating nutritiously. So you don't want to have these rough weekends and then be like, all right, I'm going into my fast this morning, and then your body is still devoid of nutrients from the previous couple of days. You're going to feel worse. So a good way to go about it is make sure you have a day or two leading up to where you're having 1 to 2 meals of those 2 days leading up of meat and vegetables. So you're having you're having enough protein and micronutrients stored in the body so that when you go into your fast, you go without food for 12 hours, you make sure you're hydrating properly and getting the electrolytes, but your body actually still has nutrients and protein to use efficiently over that 12 hours. And so that when you come back to eat, you're just replenishing and using, and you're not in excess, and your body isn't getting extra inflammation and gut disturbances and all this energy going to food and help trying to fight off inflammation. You have this gut break during your fast, and especially when you're eating like nourishing foods, to where your body is really being allowed to thrive and operate its best. So those are some protocols about these things today, guys. And episode's called Losing Body Fat and Keeping It Off, and one of the main things is food quality matters as well as do calories, as well as one of the main proponents being food and behavior psychology. So if you lock in the nutrition fundamentals and work on these things over time and work on the mindset and the habits and just get a little better each day, like the mama mentality, a little better each day, 1% better every day. And so the nutrition fundamentals, if we're emphasizing whole foods and nutrient density, getting enough quality protein and fiber, incorporating lots of vegetables, we're eating slowly until satisfied, and then we're lowering our consumption of processed foods with added sugar and as in fried foods as well, then I think that it can really get you on a great track, you guys, to losing body fat and keeping it off. And just wanted to, I think, when you drop the body fat and you increase the muscle mass or maintain the muscle mass or just drop the body fat, you will feel better, move better, live better, and your health and your, especially if you're doing the food quality, if you have high food quality, good food quality, your hormonal profile and your blood work is going to be good as well and increase and improve. So just wanted to drop by with these tips today. I appreciate you guys. Have a good day. Let me know if you have any questions, or is there anything else or any other topics you want to hear about, or if you have any more questions about losing body fat and keeping it off. Leave me a DM on Instagram. Send me an email at fitnessfrombradley@gmail.com. I'll welcome any questions, guys, and I appreciate your time. Have a wonderful day. Namaste.